Power Play Garage. This is another segment of this 1933 5-window coupe. And what I got in my hand here is a new fuel line, brand new fuel filter. And I started to do some preparations for it. And I got more to do for it to put it where I want it. In the meantime, I also unraveled the rolled up wiring and other cables that were in that group of wires that were right there on front of the firewall, and pretty much have them strung out in the direction I believe they need to go. So at the same time, I've also been dealing with the linkage for the transmission, the speedometer, and whatever else on that side. And the good thing is that the setup for the coupe itself and what was in it, the 350 turbo trans, the speedometer cable attachment is the same. So even the gearing, because I took the one out of the 350 to examine it, and also I took the one out of the 700 R4 to make sure that the inlet where the cable went into were the same, and they are, which is good. So the gearing's already set up for the size of the tire and the transmission and so forth, so that's all good and well. I just have to do a little fabricating on the cable. This one. This is the original bracket that was on the 350 that is made for that cable. And the only thing I have to do is offset one of these holes, because I want to make sure I set it up in the same parameters that was on that 350 and make sure it gets set up on this 700 R4 so that it shifts the same and there's no issue. So I've examined that and on my way to do that. So that's another thing. And the other thing that company that I complained about, Transmission Depot, they don't even have the nut on where the shaft comes out, where the actual shifting part takes place for that transmission. And unfortunately, again, the nut from the 350 doesn't work. So I got to figure it out, see what size it is and what thread pattern it is, so I can actually bolt that up and make that work. So at the same time, originally, the fuel line that runs off from pretty much behind the door hinges down below ran between the outside of the frame and the running board. Well, I don't want to do that. I want to hide it on the inside of the frame. So that's what I've been setting up to do. Just a little bending and tweaking and cutting and what have you. I should be able to make that happen and actually make some nice brackets for it and mount it nice. So until I actually have that done, I'm going to show you where I'm going to run it before I put you on standby. Okay, this is the line right here, and I brought it in through here, and it's going to end up, this is the shutoff for it, and I'm going to leave that on there. And the new line, which is here, I'm just going to place it on part here. Yep, get this. I'm going to have it run through this racetrack looking spot and through this circle hole right here and come out over here and run alongside this rail here to where it's at pretty much right there. I want to make sure it's far enough away from the exhaust pipes. Here is the collector. It's not the one that's going to be used because there's already a collector on the exhaust that is not being changed. So I don't remember exactly how it runs, but figuring that it's going to be somewhere in this journey here, we'll see how it works. So first I want to get this in and get it tucked in more out of the way and hidden. This way I don't have to worry about the fuel line getting heated up by the exhaust, and that should be a piece of cake. And then I'm going to go back to making the adjustment for this. You can see the yellow tape here, and the bracket will be mounted this way and coming up, and then the cable will go in that direction like that. The speedometer cable is already hooked up. It's got its own little box right here, so I'm going to be mounting this on the frame as well and making sure that actually stays out of the way. Heck, I could probably put it right there. It's going to be hidden, out of the way. And that's where I'm going to put it. At least this way I already know what size nut it takes, and that'll be perfect. So until then, stand by. It's the next day. I'm back. Check it out. Wearing another shirt that has Power Play Garage, YouTube, subscribe. That'd be awesome. Give me a like, make a comment. But we're still on the old 33 Dodge. So I'm going to show you what I've completed yesterday and what I've been completing today. And partly yesterday was about getting the fuel system in, the fuel line. And as I mentioned, I went with a brand new one because the old one, they had it mostly rubber, was mounted outside the frame. I wanted inside the frame. So it's within the C channel of it, and I have it nicely bent into there to come out here. And I mentioned some time ago when I was putting these brackets on that I was going to leave that bolt long just in case I could use it. And fair enough and sure enough, it's exactly what I ended up doing. I made my own brace, wraparound strap, painted it, and took care of it. And look at that, it looks like it belongs there. So came down here. This is a not your typical plastic white or clear fuel filter. I wanted this style because this 3/8 line and the thread fitting works out well for the actual fuel filter, and at least the numbers on there can always be matched up and changed. But they'll have to remember that there is a copper washer in there to seal the fitting so no leaks. New line coming up there. There's a little bit of a space between the hose and the frame, so there's really nothing needed for that. It worked out fine. And there is a shutoff that was already on the car, and that works out well. I had to come underneath between the body and the frame, so that worked out well. Now I move over to the speedo cable. That was another thing I needed to make sure matched up, and everything did line up. It matched up from the 350 to the 700 R4, and then the bracket from the 350, I measured it what the setting was on the Turbo 350. It was 7 inches from this end to this end. Worked out well. I just had to do a little fabricating, nothing major, nothing hard. Just had to add an extra hole, take this piece out right here in the corner, and I had to mill the slot to favor to where the new bolt could go up in there and fit just fine. So I'm leaving this the color that it is to add a little bling to the side of the transmission. I like that. I don't need to paint it. I like the way it looks. And I've been dissecting the wiring. Some of it's going to be changed. I will be doing that. I am getting ready for the client to show up along with Daniela to help put the rear quarter section on, the 3 of us, so we handle it nice and even and carefully, and that will go according to plan. So the next step is either, because I did get the pitman on, I could fit it and see what, to cut it down and go from there. I will have to lower it to see if anything changes. as far as I wanted the weight of the car on there just in case. So we'll check into that. Got a couple of other things, but yep, this is the outcome of it. It's coming out really, really nice. So until the next move on this beautiful 33 Dodge Coupe, misbehave. Stand by. I'm back, and the objective is to get this on that. And that is that. Get it on carefully in one piece. And I got my two recruits. The owner insisted on helping, and Daniela. So I'm going to put you on pause, and we're going to do our thing and get that on this. So stand by. Okay, another piece was put on. It's, I guess, the rest of the sail panel, side panel on both sides before the running boards go on. Yeah, came out really nice. This side here, left side, driver's side, same thing. Nicely in place. All mounted from up underneath. So once I'm doing the rest of the hookers I need to do, and as long as the running boards aren't going to be in the way, you know, especially having it up on the lift, I would have to make more adjustments or whatever to lift the car higher in order to make sure that the running boards don't hit. That's probably what I'll have to do next. So in the meantime, the tail quarter piece is on. Some of the skirting for the running boards are on. And having the help that I had really worked out very well, very pleased with the way it all turned out, and so is the client. So that's that. So next I'm going to finish welding what I started to weld, and I started fabricating. I had to with the pitman arm, I had to remove 2 5/8 of an inch from it and valleyed it out both sides, and I'm going to finish welding it up because they didn't make it as short as we needed it. So I have to make it the size I need. So until it's all done, ground down, primed, and painted, that'll probably be the next time you see that. So until tomorrow, because tomorrow is another day, I'll see you then. Peace out. It's the next day and I'm back, and I've been working on this coupe. So one of the things I'm going to show you, we just had to make a bracket for oil sending unit. Basically, it's electrical because of the digital dash that's inside this cabin. So based on the intake manifold that's on here, there wasn't any room really to put what was ever there before, which I don't know. I'm not the one who actually took the engine apart. So there are other little devices that you could use, but in this case it didn't work. And there is an alternative, but in this case on this engine it wasn't going to happen, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, well, as you can see right there, and the bracket that I made, the bolt off the transmission, and you can see the plastic line that runs to the brass fitting in the back, where usually the oil pressure sensor of some sort or line would be hooked up to. Another place that I really wasn't aware of, but a friend of mine made it aware of, in this case, not the case. There would be a plug right there, and there is no plug right there, but not this hole. That's for something else, but that right there, and I tried to get that out of there by drilling a hole. I did not drill all the way through, but enough to where I can put a heavy enough easy out and it wouldn't move, wouldn't budge for nothing, and I didn't want to snap the easy out. So I knew of a different alternative because I was set out to do this anyway in the first place, considering the other things would not fit because of that bracket, that cap right there, part of the intake manifold that sticks out. So you don't have a direct shot at it. You're very limited on space. But the way I did this, it works out fine. I'm able to run the line from that hole up to the sending unit, and now I can bolt on the wire that belongs there. So that's going to be next, along with some other wires, and I'm going to move forward from there. And I'm going to put on the power steering pump so I can figure out the right belt setup for it and get all that to work as well. So stand by in the meantime. Okay, I'm back, and it is Wednesday evening. I actually have the power steering pump mounted, and one of the things that I researched when I ordered this was to make sure that it would work for it's called a shallow water pump or short water pump nose, so that everything is tight against the block. So in ordering that plus the brackets, it was meant to be that. Now, even though I didn't put the pulley on there yet, but based on what I think it's going to end up at, it's going to be real super close to having it line up belt-wise with this. I guess it's a good thing that I have shims to take these out even a little bit further. But that's not really the concern right now. The concern is the alternator bracket that came when the client bought it. And now that we're adding all these other accessories on, I'm trying to utilize what we have. And that is becoming a challenge within itself. Now, as you can tell, this looks ridiculous. Here's the fill cap and where you would check it. So obviously that's not going to work. What I'm figuring on doing is re-channel or reset a different hole in this bracket, because there is room to bring another source of entry into the hardware bracket, and then I'll lift this bracket up higher. I already disconnected this part of the bracket from that and brought it up one, so there's only one bolt in it instead of two. So, but that'll allow me to adjust this, because this needs to be able to adjust from one side of the car to the other, and right now it's all the way down. So that's going to be my plan. It's definitely been a challenge, but I'm going to make it work. I have to, and there is no other alternator bracket that I've researched, and there could be something out there that would work for this configuration. There are stuff combined that would work, but then we're getting into a bigger expense, and we're really not trying to go there. So I'm going to head that route. It's only a matter of drilling a hole, countersinking it so that the bolt goes into it, and see what happens. It's pretty much all I can do, and hope that I can get the movement out of this so that this will work. I've already made a plate for this bracket to bring everything forward so that this part here of the pulley will line up with the inside of this one. And so far, based on what's going on there, I believe it is lining up. Yeah, I had to do a different configuration, and I might have to bring it further. I'm not really sure, but that's the easy part. Bringing it out this way is the easy part. Well, I can't go too much further out, because then that's going to really conflict with this. And right now, I can't even turn that cap off. So I might even have to mill this surface on the outside so that I have room to turn the cap. And maybe when I get over to this area over here, maybe there will be room to turn the cap. This is what happens when Custom work comes into play. This is everything on this car obviously is custom. This is a 350 Chevy engine in a Dodge frame. Not that that's a big deal. It's common. It's not a big deal. But at the same time, having what you need an alternator, you want power steering, and you want air conditioning. I can't put the alternator on this side and switch this to that side because that's not going to work either. You know, it's just you'd have to get a different bracket. This would have to get a different bracket. It's just none of that would really work. Maybe I wouldn't have to get a different bracket for this one. But this one here, if I went over here, then it's going to change everything about the AC. And I can't do that either. So the AC stays put, and I just have to make sure that I can get all this to work. I believe they do have a smaller pump. I believe. But this would be standard for this 350 engine. But I'm going to have to do more research if this doesn't work. So that's pretty good to much end the segment on this. The last one was kind of long. I don't want it to run that long. So you got to see a lot being done on this last segment with the quarter section, all the work being done underneath with the transmission, the fuel system, and all the other little odds and ends that I had to take care of. So that's going to end this. Like I said, I do appreciate people watching. If all you new guys and gals would subscribe, that'd be awesome. I would appreciate it. And until the next time, try to get something done.